Hello, everyone. It's good to be back. I wanted to speak with you today about important subject regarding sort of the despair in our society right now and what's happening with the finances and the money and how that relates to the characteristic of the United States and its number 5. And I want to go over that because it's a big issue that everybody's dealing with. Hi everyone. Today I wanted to speak with you concerning a radio program I heard this morning. And they were interviewing people regarding their thoughts on the economy and how the United States is doing and how they feel about it and inflation and all of this business going on right now and how it's affecting everyone. And I want to bring it back to a couple of key points that will help you understand why America is in sort of the mess it's in, and also how it relates to the number 5 of America's life path, and also some of the big cycles that are going on and affecting us right now. Why we kind of behave the way we do is really what is also part of it. So we are in a 5 life path in this incarnation, meaning the United States from its date of birth, July 4, 1776, when you add it together and you reduce it, it will be the number 5. So the United States, as you know, is the agent of change for the world. That's how it was intended to be. So it's no accident we're the crazy, nutty uncles. We are the people who change things. We come out and we have ideas. The world changes because of these ideas. That is us. Now, living in an environment that is the number 5, which is America, the people have to learn to constantly adjust, constantly changing. And that is the characteristic of the number 5, is change, freedom, upsetting things. So we are a catalyst. We are a catalyst for the world, which makes all the changes happen in the world. China would like to replace us. Russia would like to destroy us. And that's where it goes. And part of it is our success. Part of it is our brouhaha and all the stuff that's characteristic of us being the number 5. But one of the things that the people living in the 5 have to realize is they will have to constantly adjust to change. So when it comes down to this period we're in now, this is a big, big change period. And what we're doing is we're in the final, what we'll say, throes of the ending of a 5-0 period. So we have to go back when we complete it, which will be 2030. We will go back to 1980 and the beginning of the Reagan era. So every 50 years, we go through a cycle. And that's what this cycle is. So from 2020 to 2030, we're finishing up this cycle. So if we go back to the 10 years prior to that cycle beginning, which was the Reagan era, the 1980, when he was elected, you go to the 70s and they were crazy too. And we had huge interest rates, 18, 17%. I can remember a certificate of deposit getting 17% of my money, which was great, except it really kind of ruined the economy. So we had marches and women's rights and all these things in the 70s and protests. And it was, free love and all this jazz. And it was a period of disruption until we got to 1980, where things settled down into what I call a corporate government relationship. And that has continued to 50 years. And what you're looking at now is the last 10 years of it, so 2020 to 2030, is this tumultuous period you are in. So one of the reasons that it is tumultuous, it has to finish off this 50-year cycle. It is not fun. Some people say, well, I'll never be able to buy a house. Yes, you will. Not yet, but you will. We'll never be able to have money. I'll just work paycheck to paycheck. Or I don't want to work anymore like this. I want to be home part of the time. So we have this work-life balance going on. So it's a very disruptive period, just like the 1970s were. For people who remember that, go back in time, and every time a 50-year cycle is started, the prior 10 years leading up to it are very disruptive. And you go back right, that same pattern, 50 years, 50 years, 50 years. This is America. It works in these big 50-year cycles. So when we get done with the 2020s, we will start a whole new way of doing government and business, etc., and all the welfare state and the conservative and the liberals and all this stuff. But living through it is not easy. I had a client this morning that I did a private session with, and they're living in a situation where the husband is in the financial world and the wife is doing her own self-employment with a partner. The thing about this unique situation is they're living in a fairly high price area, and you would think that they were doing extremely well. But the last several years, the husband, as a financial connected to the trading world, each year his commission goes down and down and down. So now her money is the main breadwinner, which was never intended. So now they have to make an adjustments, and they're going to be selling their house so they can live differently. But they're still going to live in this vicinity, but a different manner. This is happening to a lot of people. What I want you to know is do not get into despair, because that's what Americans are doing. If the young people feel they'll never be able to buy a piece of property, if you can hang in there through the 20s, you will be able to buy a piece of property. The interest rates will stay high for a while because we had like 20, 30 years of, let's go back to remember what I mentioned, 70s? Let's go back. Those interest rates were excruciatingly high if you needed money. You couldn't even buy a house unless you had the seller helped refinance. We had wraparound weird loan packages. They'll probably revert to some of these later on in the 20s because people will. One of the things about America and its characteristic is it likes private ownership of property. So we're going to be stepping in with changes as we get more into the 20s about how people can buy a piece of home instead of renting. And we have to get our priorities changed. So it's a balance, and that's what the United States is all about, balance. Remember in one of the prior YouTubes I did the empires. And remember I talked about when an empire, which is usually approximately 250 years long, is in existence, it goes through a barbarian stage, then a civilized stage, then a decadent stage. So you look at, say, the British Empire and the Europeans are more in the decadent stage where they're not as vital as they were in, say, the barbaric and civilized. So America is going from the barbaric to the civilized stage of an empire. And so never forget, we're struggling to be not a bunch of barbarians anymore. So you watch our behavior. It's chaotic. It's a 5. 5 is the number of freedom. And that's why we keep promoting this. And that's why if you want this empire of the United States to even exist, you have to have the freedom or it will dissolve. So again, if you take away a lot of freedoms, be careful. That's the whole earmark of this society and this empire is freedom. And what you can depend upon is change. Don't worry. This is going to work. You have to hang in there. Be what I would say innovative. If you see your market going down and not working, start to reinvent yourself and start to think outside the box. Just because you do something well doesn't mean you do it. Remember that. I have a commodity license. I don't trade, but I have it because that was part of my past. So just think about where you might explore the real you rather than the job you took to be safe and secure. And be careful moving. There's parts of the United States that may not be the lifestyle you want. You may like the taxes, you may like the cheap rent, but the lifestyle may not go along with it. The most important thing you want to consider is your lifestyle, because you need to live and you need to be joyful and you need to have some happiness. So this is just a little bit of the characteristics of the United States, why we feel the way we do today, why we just follow inflation. And, it's like sometimes you can't eat out anymore because it's just ridiculously expensive because everything is going up. And it has, whether it's rent, price of bananas, potatoes, meat, eggs, who knows? So this adjustment is going on, but the government will have to step in, the private corporations will have to step in, the individual will have to step in, whatever the priorities that we want. Right now, we're all in a screwy mess, and it's like kids fighting. But it's this disruptive, necessary period before the big change is made. That change will come after the next election. Not this one. This can land more tumultuous period after this election, whoever gets elected. It's the 28 election you want to pay attention. That's going to seed the new style of living for America. So don't give up, hang in, and be very smart about your choices. Think on paper. That's one of my great mottos, is think on paper and get out of your head and have a strategy. Have a strategy, have tactics. Nobody goes to war unless they have a strategy, unless they want to lose the battle. If you want to win this, quote, battle, what is the objective? What's the strategy? And what are your tactics? Okay, so a little bit of practicality today. We'll tune in, we'll do another talk on this, and I always thank you for watching. Thank you. You know, one of the things that I get a lot of comments about is going over their own personal name and date of birth and timing and personal year and all that. So I wanted to suggest to you, if not with me, with someone else, to please get a private session. There's all types of sessions to get, and it will really help you. Never ever go into apartment or new house to make a move without talking to me or knowing how this place, the number on this house or apartment, relates to your own personal chart. You do not want to move into a place that will activate existing karma in your chart. It's very important. So please get back with me, because some of the comments I get could be really clarified with just a private session. So I look forward to talking with you. Please send your questions. They're always welcome. Thank you.